Welcome back, everybody. It's still Thursday, episode 67. I'm joined by David Suda, President and CEO of Gold Terra Resource Corp, in a couple seconds. I know I've done this before today, so please bear with us, but make sure to follow us on YouTube, on Twitter. Hit the subscribe button, hit the alert button, and you'll get notified when we go live with a new interview pretty much daily now. We're back and in full swing of things. We're not taking it easy. And make sure to follow us also on the other channels, Instagram and Spotify. And of course, the main part of this conversation is going to be about Gold Terra with David. Use hashtag AskYGT. That's the company's ticker on the Venture Exchange for your questions. And now let me switch over to Mr. David Suda. He's the President and CEO of Gold Terra. David, how are you doing? We had to postpone yesterday. I hope you're doing much better today.
Yeah, thanks for giving me the chance to recover a bit. I was definitely sore and nobody needed to see me yesterday, so much more prepared to be excited today. I was a bit of a suck yesterday.
Yeah, at least you're able to smile again, so that's good, and appreciate you taking the time today. And we're doing a double header, which we've never done, and I actually like it. It's really compact format. Gold Terra, a lot has happened over the last 12 months, or actually over the last 18 months. And give us a quick rundown on the company, quick 60 seconds, like high-level overview of the company before we dive a little deeper into the projects and more of the changes and new personnel you brought on. I'm going to let you summarize it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And this is a really exciting time to be on with you. We've talked about doing this together, and for whatever reason, here we are a couple days after, gold hit all-time highs. So it's great sort of context to answer that question or to speak to that topic because, this company was built for this environment, I believe. And I saw that potential just about 2 years ago when I joined the company. Maybe I mistimed the move in the gold price, and maybe I'm thankful that it took this long because it took some time to make some changes to get it ready for this. But the company was put together 6 or 7 years ago, or this asset was brought into the company 6 or 7 years ago, and it's been a tremendous opportunity that Joe Campbell and his team had to piece together such a good land package. And you can only do that when nobody cares. So the timing was perfect. And they managed to put together a piece of property that's now 800 square kilometers. It started with, say, 40 and grew. And now, we've got about 60 to 70 kilometers of strike in a very prolific past producing camp right next to a town. So all the infrastructure is there. We have access to very skilled labor, everything you could ever want. And I think what was missing was an environment where you could raise money. There was some strategy and some focus missing. So there were some, team members that the project needed. So for me, it was a no-brainer. We were in a tough market. There was great value there. We needed to focus on getting a resource out because there hasn't been a resource in 6 or 7 years on this project. A lot of smoke, maybe some embers, but no burning, sustained fire. So it took some time. We ran a prospectivity analysis when I first came on, prioritized the targets properly, managed to bring Gerald Panneton in, founder of Detour Gold. He's had a lot of experience, worked at Barrick, and I'm not a geologist. We've got a great geologist in Joe Campbell, who stayed with the company and is currently the COO. But I'll tell you, now we have vision, we have access to financial markets, we've got marketing strategy, and we've got a package where now you've got an organized approach to building up a resource and still taking big swings at, a discovery or rediscovery in a camp that, previously produced a lot of gold over a short piece of that strike that we now control. So in a nutshell, we've come from lots of value, not sure what it is, maybe, to let's put, the tires on the car, drop it onto the track and hit the road.
Perfect.
That's where we're at now.
Perfect. That was a really good summary of what's been happening. couple of aspects we want to drill down deeper. Let's start with the current situation. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. It's petering out maybe a little bit here on the West Coast, but what is it looking like in the Yellowknife area? Give us an update and how is it impeding your work?
Well, it's not impeding our work. It obviously provides challenges. People, have a hard time traveling. We have been very careful. We have our own internal protocols, and we've been following all the rules and regs that the various overarching, regulators, ministries are suggesting and mandating. But beyond that, we're very fortunate to be in Yellowknife, right? I was running around for a year and a half saying Yellowknife, Yellowknife, Yellowknife. We're right next to town. We're right next to town. You can drink your coffee and it doesn't get, all that stuff. And it starts to sound like a broken record because if people don't actually come and stand at site and see the city in the background, on the horizon, and they don't really understand the difference between, building a camp in the middle of nowhere for a whole bunch of people to cohabitate and eat in a mess hall and fly back and forth in helicopters and do all those things that really are very challenging in an environment like we're in right now. I was able to say, look, see, again, Yellowknife, amazing. People sleep in their own bed. We can follow the rules. We don't have to have people going in and out of Northwest Territories. Sure, we would like to have some people going in and out of Northwest Territories. And there are rules around quarantine, but mining is essential in the Northwest Territories, and there are certain exemptions that we can apply for. And as a result, we received our funding very recently, and there was a lot of uncertainty. We didn't promise anything. We knew we wanted to be back drilling. We said maybe September. We're not sure. Let's see what happens. And here we are. We're on the cusp of hitting the ground and drilling. So, we're very fortunate. People will sleep in their own beds at night. We'll follow all the rules, but we'll be drilling.
Yeah. Let's talk about drilling in a second. Let's talk about the projects in a second as well. I want to talk more about the capital structure real quick and the raise. So you've raised $7.1 million. You wanted to raise only $6 million. Give us some more color on who came in as an investor. Where did the interest come from? Could you have taken more?
We couldn't have taken more because we were so careful and have been so careful about dilution. We're very much aligned with shareholders, right? This is a big swing for me. I've got, my whole life has changed by joining this company. Moved my family from Toronto, left the brokerage business. I'm all in, and Gerald's bought 5 million shares since joining the company. Dilution is not something we love.
It's not the solution.
It's not the solution. You can say it is. And sometimes, you need to in order to survive and move the project forward. But if you're given choices, you got to be smart. And finally, we felt like we were in a position to have choices. We got to choose who our shareholders are on this last round of financing, and to some extent the previous one. And the one before that, even last July, was the first financing where we took warrants out of the game. We had some institutions who were, from my relationships on the sell side, were able to come in, and we've been building it since then. So to answer your question, this last raise was primarily institutional. It was, I'd say, an even spread between Canada, USA, and Europe. We went from, 1 or 2 institutions in our registry to, closer to 10. In this last financing, and there was a retail component. But don't forget, there have been a lot of people who have been supporting this story for a long time, who have deep pockets, and they're long-term people. So those people were also included in this last financing.
Can you give us some names or who came in? I've just scrolled down your presentation in case I missed it, but you're not mentioning any major shareholders or so. Is anybody you can mention? And also tell us how much does management own, and what prices did you guys buy at?
So on the naming of shareholders, I've been answering this question in a fairly coy way. Check it out. It's on Bloomberg. I know that RBC's there.
No.
They weren't in the story before. They are now. There's a Swiss fund, and I don't know how they're listed, if they're called SSI or,
Okay.
I'll just be a little bit less specific by saying that these are mostly originally mining resource-focused funds, and on this last round, we saw some generalists come in.
Okay.
Coming from the institution, like I was an institutional trader, naming names is like a no-no for me. So you're asking the wrong guy. Somebody else in the company, they'll open their mouth and get in trouble.
Yeah, we need to get a little more promotional here. Come on.
Okay, well, I can get promotional. Ask my chairman; he's pretty promotional.
Nah, I might have to. I might have to. But how many shares is management owned? Like you said, you bought in 2 years ago, roughly, and Gerald owns 5 million shares. Like anybody other? Like
yeah, everybody's long. We took the pie chart off the screen because we wanted to change the way we were presenting the numbers. We had management and insiders, and so now we want to put out a number that's management, and insiders who are like on the board. We were including other people in that number, so we're around 7% of like true tight management and directors. So the founders, on the board, we've got Joe Campbell. Sorry, he's not on the board, but Joe is obviously a big shareholder. Stuart Rogers, who is still on the board, is a large shareholder. Gerald, myself, we're all aligned, and so I know that people present numbers different ways. Like I could tell you it's 12, or I could tell you it's 6. Depending on who you're counting. So we like I said, we own a lot of stock, and that's my primary incentive. I've got a lot of options that incentivize me as well. Gerald has no options. Gerald is a guy he is very open, and the first thing he'll say is, as a chairman, I took no stock options because I don't need the incentive. I've made my money. I'm in this to win it, and I can afford to buy stock. We're set up. Our structure is all about making this work. There's no question.
Fantastic. Let's talk about the projects. Let's talk about Samada. Let's talk about how do you pronounce the last one? French name. No,
Questorum?
That one. Why did I think it would end with an LT? I don't know why. I thought it was. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the plans. You drilled Samada earlier this year. You put out all the results. Let's start there before we go take the next step to the higher grade part, which is Questorum. Let's talk about Samada for a second, and let's talk about your plans moving forward after that.
Yeah, Samada is a great segue to Questorum because I'm going to get jacked up about and maybe a little too jacked up about the fact that people missed it. People missed how successful we were at Samada. I don't know if it was the market. I don't know if I didn't, communicate it the right way. We've got a verify model that everybody should go on our website and look at. If people want to know if we added ounces with our drilling, we did. Every hole hit gold mineralization. Were they huge step outs, all of them? No. Were some of them, closer to some of the known mineralization? Yeah. But the program was designed to add ounces to our resource so that when we do our update at the end of this year, we put something more on the table to backfill the valuation so we can keep taking big swings at discovery. So was Samada a success? Absolutely. Am I excited about what that means for Questorum? Of course I am, because it is the first time that as a team with Gerald, we put together a program that was designed to do this. And now we're going to take that same approach and apply it to high grade at Questorum. And in this market, that's like, to me, that's like a tinderbox ready to explode. So I love what we did at Samada. And I'm a little bit mad that people didn't get it, but go check out the results. The last 2 holes were great holes.
So you're about to light the fuse on Questorum and high-grade drill results. Yep. What's the plan moving forward? You raised $7 million. How are you going to spend that money on Questorum or in general moving forward?
Yeah, so our public plan is to drill another 10,000 meters. We're more than well funded to do that. And we've released specific details on what we plan to do at Questorum, which is, to go deep. Nobody's gone deep on this thing. It's been drilled like on 25-meter centers at surface, and there have been some crazy high-grade intersections there. And, it's never been drilled deep. Gerald looked at the section. He was like, why didn't you drill down here? how are you going to expand this in a big way if you don't take a swing? You've got another 50 targets like it on your property. Like, what are you afraid of? You're the Stanley Cup favorite. Go play. So we're going to go play. We're going to drill 7 deeper holes at Crestorum with the intention to significantly increase the size of that resource. And then in addition to that, we haven't gone public with specific plans, but we've been developing a new juicy target, also high grade. It happens to be a structure that we're chasing, which produced 5 of the 6 million ounces of high grade that the Con mine produced. That's called the Campbell Shear, and the Campbell Shear seems to exist based on the last 2 holes we drilled this winter, north of the Con and Giant mines onto our property, and it also exists south of the Con mine. We believe on our property. So we've got a follow-up plan to make sure that we target effectively and efficiently, and we'll be coming out with those plans as we go here. So that'll, the first 7 holes will make up about 4,000 meters with some, following success. We're not at Crestorum. We may do some more there, and then we've got, some held back obviously for the Campbell Shear, but I can't be more specific about whether we drill north or south or where yet, but it's going to happen.
Do you have a more precise date for us on when drilling will start at Crestorum?
We announced in our most recent news release that it will be mid-August. Things are moving along very well in terms of getting that going. And I expect to have some news out when we hit the ground and turn the drill anytime soon.
Okay, fantastic. That sounds good. All the COVID restrictions or COVID regulations are being met, obviously. So it takes a while to prepare. Everybody's from town anyway. So what's the COVID situation there? Like you mentioned a bit in the intro, but in terms of cases development, do you have an idea?
Well, they did so well in Northwest Territories and Yellowknife to keep the number of cases down. I don't follow the number of cases exactly, but they're I think it was 1 or 2.
Okay.
If it's more than that since then, I'd be surprised. But they also mandated some pretty strict policies about quarantine for people who are coming in. For a place that has several daily flights, they've sort of cut that back a bit. It's still easy to get there. You can still fly direct from Vancouver, but there just aren't as many flights. And if you're not part of an essential service or you can't get an exemption, then that means you have to go and quarantine for 2 weeks before coming out of your hotel room, which wasn't ideal as an overall kind of plan back in June, July when we were looking at it. But now, we've managed to find the right ways to get started and have people join our team that we need to up there. In addition, I should say we also have added to our technical team in Yellowknife. So we're, part of what we're doing, part of the restructure is to build a core team of technical people, of geologists in town at site, so that we aren't constantly, chasing contractors. We want to be, good guests of our, of Yellowknife, and in adding to our team from town, it not only helps us, in this situation, but also makes us better corporate guests.
No, fantastic. Let's talk quickly about the resource. You mentioned it's a 6-year-old resource, it's 735,000 ounces at 1.79 grams. What's the plan to update that? When can we expect a resource update from the areas you're working on?
By year end. We said firmly by year end in January, February when we were marketing. And now I'm just giving us some leeway. I like to underpromise and overdeliver, but with the fact that we've been delayed, and surprisingly only by 6 to 8 weeks, call it. We want to drill Crestorum, have all the results back, and come back with a global resource update rather than do it piecemeal. From Sam Otto and then Crestorum doesn't make sense really. So once we finish drilling at Crestorum And that's part of the reason why we're prioritizing Crestorum to begin with, just to get those results back in order to get a resource update on both those, globally on our 43101.
Fantastic. David, we're sort of running out of time. I really appreciate you joining us. But before we end this here, give us, you sort of mentioned it already, but let's put a bow around it, really, in concise words. Next 3 months, what do they look like? What does the news flow look like?
Well, we've got all-time high gold prices, and for the first time in a long time, this company's got a robust program that's focused on high-grade gold on our top-tier target, where we're not just going into no man's land. We know, that we've got good shots, and we've got some big shots to take. Then we've got a new, exciting, call it sort of blue sky target in the Campbell Shear to drill. And then, we've got a resource to update. And if people go to our website and look at the Verify model, they can start to think about, how many ounces we may be added at Sam Otto. That's right there for you to look. You could do your own arm waving. So we've got lots to talk about. We've got drill results coming and all-time highs on gold. I'm absolutely, 100% focused, nose to the grindstone, and trying to just give as many people out there as possible a chance to pay attention to us and get on board.
Fantastic. David, thanks so much. And I hope it wasn't too painful for you there. And we'll talk very, very soon. You'll be joining us actually on next Wednesday, SF Online session number 2. We'll kick this off at 6 a.m. PST. You'll be presenting. I don't know the time of your top of my mind right now, but you'll be presenting. We'll be going through some slides there with you, and we'll speak then as well. In the meantime, I appreciate you joining us this morning or this afternoon Eastern time, and stay tuned for more. Everybody else, really appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for following us here on YouTube, on Twitter. Please leave some constructive feedback. We're always looking to improve. Appreciate the questions. Make sure to follow us. Hit the alert and subscribe button on YouTube and Twitter. We're also on Spotify and Instagram, so follow us there as well. And we'll be uploading this shortly. So, David, thanks so much, and we'll talk very soon.
Thanks so much for having me. See
Pleasure.
you soon.